keeping with the theme of blue, because we're based in Ontario and Toronto, is there's this hockey team called the Toronto Maple Leafs. We've all heard
Oh,
them. A lot of
yeah.
people really like them. Some people don't. That being said, whether you like them or don't like them or love them or don't, everybody's always curious. Is this going to be the year? For as long as I've been alive on this earth, the same question: is this going to be the year that the Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup? And topic
Yes.
number 3 is slightly controversial because that's how I ride. Is that the Maple Leafs will never win the Stanley Cup in our lifetime. Zach, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree. I'm going to disagree. I think the Leafs are going to win the Stanley Cup. I think they're a lot closer than people may think.
Mhm.
I think the biggest problem for the Leafs thus far is, talk about money, has been the money issue, right? Their salary cap, the fact that they've got 4 players being paid $50 million a year and an $80 million cap, right? So if you're already paying more than half to 4 players on a team of 20 players, how does that help? And I had this discussion with another financial planner,
Okay.
and I don't know if it's 100% true, so don't quote me on it, right?
Well,
But
this is not the show off the record, so you're on the record right now, Zach. So
I'm
go
on
ahead.
the record here. So
You are on the road.
Yeah, exactly. He told me that hockey players are being paid personally, right? So they don't get paid into like a corporation or anything, or at least they have been, right? And so the problem is if you play in Toronto and we live in a tax scheme of you're losing pretty much half your money. Yeah, exactly. They need more money in order to equate playing somewhere else, right? Like if you look at the best teams that there have been over the years, right? You've got the Florida teams, right? Tampa Bay is they're a superpower that's just been running, and now you look at the Florida Panthers; they're the next one, right? And Dallas was another superpower, and these are all cities that have low tax schemes. Right?
That's not a coincidence that people want to play there. I thought it was the weather.
No, it's not a coincidence. No, if you remember when the Leafs were going after Tavares, whatever it was, 4 or 5 years ago, they were also going after Stamkos because they were best friends, right? Yes. And the first pitch was to Stamkos, but Stamkos said, and I can't remember where it is, but it was published saying, for me to stay in Florida and get paid $8 million or whatever it is, $9 million that he's getting paid, I'd have to go to Toronto and be paid $13 million in order to leave with the same amount of money, right? And so that's what and that's why he's able to take these team-friendly contracts. But in Toronto, you can't do that.
But it's funny, you bring up the Stamkos example, and I don't know Steve Stamkos. I'd like to know him if he'd like to appear on the show. He's more than welcome, obviously. But part of the issue with Stamkos, I'll argue, is that I don't know if the guy wants to play here. Who needs this pressure? Who needs the pressure of every day you walk down the street, you go to Chipotle and you go to a Starbucks? Hey, Steve, we're winning this year. Steve, you're a bum. Steve, you're terrible. Who needs that? He goes to Florida, go lie on the beach. Everybody leaves you alone, collects your tax-free money. Sure, if you come to Toronto, you'll get more endorsements. Maybe the endorsements will override the whole tax thing. But on the same token, who needs the pressure? Who wants to be here and listen to this? Because, it's funny because living in this major market that we do and how passionate we are about hockey, it's not much different than in relative terms of, let's say, the Yankees in baseball. And, people there eat, breathe, sleep their team, and it's a lot of pressure to be there. And everybody's watching, every movement you do, every game, really, do people want that?
Yeah, no, it's right. You're right. You're living under a microscope, but some people do want that. Some people thrive under that. Right. And, it's always, you could be on Tampa Bay with a moderate market, which has been built over the years, right? Mm-hmm. And if you win the Stanley Cup, you go down your boat parade and that's fine, right? But look what happened with the Raptors when the Raptors won their championship. The Toronto went nuts. Huh?
They did. I was saying the Raptors? No, I'm joking. But
no, exactly.
Funny how that comes full circle right away. But yeah.
Well, exactly.
But they did it, and they were the biggest thing ever.
Exactly. And the Leafs are bigger than the Raptors, no matter what anyone says, because the Leafs have been around for longer.
Let's talk about that then. Let's talk about that because the Raptors did win a championship, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to argue that part of the reason why the Leafs are not going to win the Stanley Cup in our lifetime goes as follows. because there's still a demand and there's still that hype. And I got to buy into this because this is the year, and they got to keep pulling the incentive, the carrot, And once they win that championship, okay, they won it. Who cares anymore? Let's move on to the next thing. And I feel like part of, there's an underlying kind of subconscious decision making here to bring us close enough to tease us, but not give us that actual championship, because management knows at the end of the day, we win that championship, and then the main player to go, we become like the Raptors, become a 500 team. And let's talk about another topic. So how do we stay relevant? By never winning that championship. It's a conspiracy theory. I hear you. Not saying I believe this, but for the purpose of our discussion, I'm going to take that position. How do you view
But that's fine. I think that it may be a little bit of a reach. I understand it because at the end of the day, NHL is a corporation. They're trying to make as much money as possible. Same with MLSE, right? And it's like dangling the donut on the guy running on the treadmill, right? I get that. But at some point is enough, enough, it has to be enough. 64, is it 65 years, 67 years we're at right now? And
whatever. It could be 200 years, but I'm saying, how many NHL teams are there?
31.
Okay. So you have a 1 in 31 odds. And then you have some teams, you have the upper echelon, the top 5-6 teams, you have the bottom 5-6 teams, they kind of cancel each other out. But it's really, really difficult. You got to put a strong team together. You have to have everybody from the upper management to the coaching staff to your superstars to your role players. You have to have a goalie standing on his head, like Jack Campbell's playing, MVP caliber type hockey. He's a Vezina candidate this year. But on the same token, one thing happens to him. Now what? We're gonna put me in goal.
Exactly.
We're gonna bring the Zamboni driver, David Ayers, in there. Like, what are we gonna do? So you have to have everything hit on a perfect level. And what I'm saying is, as they've shown for all these years, it's next to impossible to do that unless you literally have every single component. And I don't think it's going to happen this year. I don't think it's going to happen next year. I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetimes, quite frankly.
It's hard. It's hard because every game is a game of matchups, right? Like, after coaching hockey for as long as I did and then playing in hockey, it's not like, the best team in the NHL is going to beat every team out there, right? Like, we all have our form of a kryptonite. Look at the Leafs in Boston, right? They could run over every single other team, but you get Boston in the playoffs, it's a problem, right? And look at what the Leafs did last year, even with Montreal. Montreal went on to the Stanley Cup final, and the Leafs were breezing through them. I think the problem with the Leafs right now is living under the pressure of being a Leaf player, right? It's being under that scrutiny because you have Mitch Marner, who, you love hating him and you hate loving him. But let's be real, what the guy can do with the puck is spectacular, right? Like, if he played even half as well in the playoffs as he did in the regular season, yeah, you'd be happy that he signed with the Leafs for the $11 million he did. But the problem is that it's either boom or bust in the playoffs, right? That's just how it is, and it's been bust. So if they're able to get to the point where they can get over it, really. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, they can get over that stigma of, I'm a Leaf, everybody hates me, right? We're gonna fail, blah 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 blah, and just say, you know what, we're gonna win. Like, it's just how it is. We're gonna win. Go out there, win game 4, or even game 5, or 6, or even 7. Right? They had 4 chances and they blew it. And so once you can get to that point, they'll be like a freight train. And I think it's going to happen. I think they have the majority of the components. They may be missing a world-class D-man, top D-man. Morgan Rielly's great. I love him. He's having the best year of his life, but he's no Victor Hedman. He's no Cale Makar.
So I got your formula then. I'm gonna think outside the box here because obviously it's not working. We're not getting there. So, and because of my overall love of sports, my thinking is like this. I think a lot of it comes from top down. And I think management is the one that really creates the atmosphere, creates the game plan. And I think you put a different management system into place with the same players, I think you're going to see different results, because at some point you can't change all the players all the time, right? I'm not saying anything badly about Brendan Shanahan or the rest of the Leafs management team, but here's my thinking. Sports is sports. It's very similar formulas, whether it's football, baseball, hockey. It's all the same type of idea as far as winning games, making money, etc. So my logic is like this. You got Theo Epstein, okay? And for those of you that don't know in the hockey world, Theo Epstein is the genius that went and broke the curse for the Red Sox and then the Chicago Cubs. You're talking about Maple Leaf curses and how bad it's been. Go look up the history of the Red Sox and the Chicago Cubs and how bad it was, and the level as far as from those major markets and how important baseball is. And they were never going to end the curses, and they did. And they won their championships. And really, who gets the credit for that, for the most part, is Theo Epstein. He's the guy that created put the teams into place as far as management wise, coaching, whatever formula he had, it clearly worked. Now he works for Major League Baseball as an executive, helping to organize Major League Baseball and where they're headed. They're on strike right now, by the way, or locked out, sorry. And good luck to them. Theo, if you're listening to this right now, love to have you on the show as well and talk about this. If I'm the Maple Leafs, I'll pay him whatever he wants. I don't care. You got to pay him 10 million, 15 million a year. Theo Epstein's your guy. Bring in the formulas for what he did to break those curses, and he is going to bring you the Stanley Cup into Toronto. Done.
Yeah, and he's like I like Steve Yzerman, right? I think he's the hockey version or the baseball version of Steve Yzerman. If you look what he did with Tampa, he built a team that was a previous Stanley Cup winner with the Cavalier and Martin St. Louis era that went from 100 right down to 0 very quickly, right? And he built them back up again. He's doing it with the Detroit right now, with the Detroit Red Wings. So, the Leafs do need someone like him. And we all know they've got the money. So start shelling some of it out.
It's funny because at the end of the day, in any business, whether it's sports, even in medicine, it's funny. At the end of the day, we talk about doctors and doctor clients. At the end of the day, they're there to help people. But people got to remember, it's still a business. Everything's a business at the end of the day. When you're watching the news and you're reading a newspaper, there are businesses that own that. And it all comes down to revenues, expenses, and making money. Yes, you're trying to make a difference and give information to people and help people. In the Maple Leafs case, they're here to entertain you, by all means, show you great hockey. But remember, at the end of the day, background to our original theme of all this is money. I want it, I need it, and how do I get it? And the Maple Leafs are making boatloads of money between how much they charge on tickets, as far as their revenue streams and advertising. They got the formula. They got multiple income streams. They know how to do it, right? And so when you're making that kind of money, what's your incentive at the end of the day? Because a lot of teams need to win championships in order to capture fans' attention. Like when the Dallas Stars, when they moved from the Minnesota North Stars to Dallas, the original, people were excited because you have a new team, but that wanes off. And if you don't win those championships, you lose your fans. So people, teams get very desperate. They'll mortgage their futures, do whatever it takes. The Maple Leafs don't have that same kind of incentive at the end of the day because they're making that money, And so there's many levels of this of, are they going to do it? Are they not? But at the end of the day, it all comes down to a boardroom, and you got executives. And what do they really look like? Our bottom line is up. Our bottom line is doing really well. So congratulations. Everybody gets bonuses. Wait, but we didn't win the championship. You're getting bonuses. You made money. It's all good. So
yeah, exactly. It's hard when you look at it that way. But you're an athlete too, right? Put yourself in a position. You're in a competition, and you're thinking, yeah, you know what? No matter what, I'm going to be fine. I'm making money anyways, right? But there's still that drive, right? No matter what position you're in, there's still that personal need to just go out there and win, right? So there's money at the end of the day, but we're talking about a sport where there's a mindset, right? There's that mindset, and it's not just a mindset, it's the accountability from people on your team, right? Look at Jason Spezza, right? I love Jason Spezza. He's one of my favorite people to watch. Guy's been in the league for more than enough time, and he still hasn't won a Stanley Cup. Quality player, always been a quality player. Even on the fourth net line now, he's putting up point per game averages, right? When's he going to win the Stanley Cup, right? How about Joe Thornton? When is he going to win the Stanley Cup? Patrick Marleau, and there's all these people, these legends that are going to end their careers without having a chance to win the Stanley Cup. And then you got people like Pat Maroon, who's on his third.
Yeah, but
right?
remember, Zach, these people also, when they're finished each game, they have agents, advisors. They got teams. Again, you notice this theme about the teams. You need to
Oh, you
have
gotta have
your,
the
your
team.
team to make money. You need to have your team to win the championship. These players on their own are their own organizations. They have their team. They got their chef. They got their personal trainer. They got their financial advisor. They got their agent. They're looking at their stats. Oh, if I reach this level of goals, if I reach this level of performance, I'm making X amount of dollars. If I go out there hurt and I all of a sudden have to miss games and I have a games played clause and I miss enough games, I'm not going to get paid X. It's funny. It's all a business at the end of the day. It's amazing how much sports has gone from just let's strap on some skates and screw the money, let's just win championships, to every single component of it is broken down statistical wise and figured out in dollars. And you know what, maybe I'm not up to playing today because you know what, I don't want to risk injury and my contract's coming up and I don't want to miss free agency. It's amazing how much the dynamics have changed over time.
You know, you said exactly what I wanted you to say, because we are all individual businesses, right? Austin Matthews, one of the best players in the world right now, right? Guy is putting up numbers that rival the future greatest scorer of all time in Alexander Ovechkin, right? In 2 years, he's gone. That's my thought. Want to know why? The Leafs don't win a Stanley Cup. He's going home. You know, if you look at Arizona, they've cashed out pretty much every contract they have going into 2023-4 season, or maybe 4-5. I can't remember. But that's because when Austin Matthews' contract is up, he's going to say, okay, I'm not going anywhere with the Leafs. So who's going to be the highest bidder? And it's going to be Arizona. He's going to go home to his family, where he grew up, where he lives, and he's going to cash in there. And then once you lose, you know, the all-stars and then the belief behind them, you're done. And it's funny because I went to, obviously pre-COVID, I went to Philadelphia with my hockey team for a tournament. And you go watch a Flyers games, right? And I'm sitting there and I've never seen a fan base heckle their team as much as the Philadelphia Flyers.
Well, they're very well known for years. This is their thing.
But it's crazy. And you think to yourself, you know, why the hell do you even come? And they're like, well, they're not going to keep themselves accountable. We're going to keep them accountable to their actions, right?
They're the coaches.
So,
yeah,
exactly.
Got 30,000 coaches in the
exactly.
in the audience every game. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh God, they're all car coaches too. Anyways, you got them. They're sitting there and screaming there, right? And you know, I think, you know, why don't you just go home? You know, why are you paying for tickets to come here? Yeah. And that's what's going to happen to the Leafs, right? There's going to be that loss of faith, that loss of belief. And there's going to be a drop off, and you know, it's what happened in between Sundin and now, and it's going to happen again.
Thank you for enjoying today's episode of the Chosen Life podcast. Go ahead and hit the subscription button below and the notification bell to catch all of our great shows. And remember to contact the Chosen Lawyers when you are ready for your next real estate and commercial transaction. Go to kormans.ca.